Hello, folks. This is Richard Florczak, the private chef to the stars, and welcome to Talking About Food, the only local food review show on the Grand Strand that talks specifically about restaurants, food trucks, festivals, and farmers markets. We'll talk about my favorites, your favorites, and maybe on occasion the not-so-favorites. I'll throw in some of my recipes once in a while, and hopefully you can teach me some of yours. I'm going to be interviewing local chefs and local food business owners. And please remember, I am a private chef. I cooked in a home. Now, albeit it was some of the biggest stars in the world's homes, but I still cooked in a home, completely different from restaurant cooking. So basically, you guys and I have a lot in common. The only difference between you, the home cook, and me, the private chef, is I get a paycheck. Or got a paycheck when I was still working in Hollywood. So I guess you could actually call yourself your family's private chef. That's why I'll also be talking about some of the best major appliances as well as best small kitchen appliances. And think about it. Who's more in tune with things that you need in a home? Is it a guy like Guy Fieri or Gordon Ramsay, or is it somebody like me who cooked in a home for most of his career? We'll also be talking about knives on occasion and also how to cut corners in the kitchen without cutting quality. And from time to time, I'll be interviewing some of my celebrity friends, and whether celebrity or not, the topic will always be food, because nothing brings people together like great food. So this show is a break from the grind of the week. So, forget about your job for an hour and put politics aside, and let's do what I like doing most, and that is talking about food. When I was working for Mel Gibson and the family would be traveling somewhere and they didn't need me to go along with them, they would often sponsor me to attend the Culinary Institute of America up in the Napa Valley area above San Francisco. It was a cool culinary institute. And one time when I was taking classes up there, I noticed that one of the other classes, they were wheeling these wood-fired pizza ovens. They were mobile. They had them in a stock room. And they would pull them out. And it just so fascinated me. I had to know everything about it. And I walked over to the other class and I started looking at the manufacturer. And I thought, man, I would love to have one of these in my backyard. And when I got back to Los Angeles, I looked them up. And the manufacturer was a few towns over in Burbank. And I said to my wife, I gotta have one of these. And she's like, yeah, well, let's get one. So we did, and I'd like to say that started my fascination with pizza, but it happened long before that, growing up in New Jersey, where pizza's a religion. And more about that later on in the show. We talk about pizza. I've got a great guest coming into the studio today. He is the executive director of the Horry Georgetown Technical College, the culinary division. He's a fascinating guy, and he is coming up next. I got a great guest in the studio today. His name is Chef Joe Bonaparte. He is the executive director of the Culinary Institute at Horry Georgetown Technical College. And before I start talking to Joe, Chef Joe, I want to read a little bit about his background. Master of Hospitality Management, BS Hotel Restaurant Management, University of Houston, California Culinary Academy, studied cooking in Italy, France, and Thailand, executive sous chef, Conrad and Hilton College, chef de cuisine, Barron's Restaurant, chef instructor, restaurant manager, the Art Institute of Houston, and it goes on and on and on. And I don't feel worthy to be in the same studio with you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for asking, Richard.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. Do me a favor, if you could just give the listeners just a quick overview of how the Culinary Institute works. I've been there. You've given me tours. I've been to the dinners there, and I am so impressed with that place. But I'd like you to explain to the listeners, just to get an overall look of the Institute.
Well, a big picture of it. We're part of Georgetown Technical College, so we're community college. Our new facility, that we moved into late 2016 over in the Market Common area. Behind the ball fields over there. And, we're really part of the community. So we're a 2-year culinary school, associate's degree in culinary arts, associate's degree in baking pastry arts. We've started a new hospitality and tourism, hotel, restaurant, lodging management degree, that starts this fall. So we're a school, but we're also a restaurant. We're a bakery. We're a farmer's market. We're cooking classes to the public. We're all these different things to the community. Being part of the community college,
Right.
we really try to be active part of the community.
Right, and that's what blew me away. I've been fortunate enough. I studied the culinary arts at UCLA in Los Angeles. I've been fortunate to study at CIA, Culinary Institute of America, up in St. Helena. Above San Francisco, and they've got nothing on you and the way you run that business. I've seen you up close and personal working with the students, and I've got to tell you something. It really amazed me. I want to know more about the Fowler Dining Room, because what's very interesting, as far as I'm concerned, about the Culinary Institute is how obviously involved the students are, but how also you are involved with the students. I went to is it the 10-course tasting? Is it 10 course?
It's like 6 or 7.
6 or 7 course tasting. I think it's in the spring, right?
Right.
And all locally sourced ingredients
As much as possible.
And the dining room is beautiful. They have an open kitchen, a bar that you can sit at that overlooks the kitchen. And I'm expecting to see not only just the students, maybe a few instructors, but there's Chef Joe running the show right in the center of the kitchen, orchestrating like a conductor, right? With a full dining room. This was 8:00 at night, I think. It was in the evening. Was it in the evening? He could have long gone home, but that's kind of the personality of how this whole operation works. And I was impressed at it. And did I understand correctly that in order to complete that cycle, the culinary students also have to spend time serving
Correct.
customers?
They do. Yeah. Their least favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But great experience.
Yep. They spend a semester out there doing the front of house service, as well as 3 semesters back,
Wow.
and all the other cooking classes. But, you know how it is. You owned your own restaurant.
Yes.
You own your own business, worked for yourself for years. And, you can go home, but, there's also like a level of, getting people to see your vision, to execute to the standards that you want executed.
Right.
And being involved, just really, I really committed to, this program, and so are my faculty. And, I'm not the only one who works a lot of hours over there. All the faculty and actually part-time staff even work way beyond what is normally expected of somebody in that situation.
Right. And I don't doubt that, but we all know there's a trickle down effect. Very often you'll hear, you be in a restaurant and they'll say, oh, the service is horrible here. And immediately it's the owner's fault. Well, you deserve credit for running the Culinary Institute like you do. You were telling me that everything is locally sourced, but recently you were telling me about trips to different places.
Right.
that the students take. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. We had some just come back from central Italy. That were there for a little more than a week in Umbria. They stayed on a farm, took cooking classes, made cheese, went to wineries, tasted wine, olive oil, went to a charcuterie, pork processing, all kinds of truffle hunting. They found truffles with, they had the dog. The pictures they posted of that were amazing. And then, over spring break, we had students in Paris for a week. And, that part of what the farmer's market is, when the students sell barbecue and bread at the farmer's market, it's helped to raise money for these trips. So,
and these are the students going on these trips.
Yes.
It makes me want to sign up and get back to culinary school, because I never had anything like that.
It's pretty
truffle hunting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's remarkable.
Yeah,
that's absolutely remarkable. And the quality of what you do there is it's just unbelievable.
Thank you.
Give me your 3 favorite restaurants.
Oh God.
Doesn't have to be high end, doesn't have to be bougie, which is what I say all the time when people go, oh, well, you probably will only eat at a 5-star. And I'm saying, find me a mom and pop little food truck or whatever. So what are your 3 go-tos?
I would say probably one of the most go-tos is a little taqueria in Sacristy called El Chepo. I really love that place.
And what do you like to get there?
Anything from the rabbit to shrimp ceviche, the octopus ceviche, or I love going on Sundays and getting the lamb barbacoa. And it's so good.
Oh, you're making my mouth water.
Then Soul is a Latino small place
Paulie's?
at Polly's Island. Guy and his wife, Armando and his wife, do just a fantastic job. It's not what you think of. It's awesome. The third is more difficult, I love Asian. Oh, I guess I'd have to say Hayashi Sushi.
Where is that?
That's in Merle's Inlet.
Okay.
Down. It's only takeout. And all they do is sushi.
I've got 3 more places to go now. Okay, Joe, Chef Joe, thank you so much for coming in, taking some time, let people know about the Culinary Institute, and I can personally vouch. I've been there, I've walked the place, I've watched how you operate there, and it is a fantastic place.
Well, thanks for having me.
Richard Florczak, the private chef to the stars. And I love pizza. I could eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when I was single, I did that often. When I was a young kid growing up in New Jersey, before I moved to Hollywood, I used to take a piece of white bread and slather Cheese Whiz on it. And then I would take whatever kind of tomato sauce we had around the house, and I would spoon it on top, smear it around. I'd melt some butter in a pan, put the bread on the pan, medium heat, cover it with a lid, and in 2 minutes had this beautifully crisp bottom pizza bread. The tangy Cheese Whiz would have melted into the warm sauce, and it was excellent. I used to turn my friends onto it all the time. Yet another example how for any of the locals who thinks that the private chef to the stars will only eat high-end bougie stuff, there's yet another example of that's just not me. When I was traveling with whatever celebrity I was working for, be on their jet, I would take food magazines that I had accumulated. And I remember reading this article one time about this very high-end chef who was standing on a 10-foot ladder dusting his chocolate desserts on the table below. And somebody asked him why he was doing that. He said, I wanted them to resemble having been covered in snow. And I remember thinking to myself, really? You're that passionate about it? Now, I love to cook. I feel I'm passionate, but like that, I hadn't experienced that. Well, a few years later, having this love of pizza, my wife and I had a wood-fired oven built in our backyard. And I'll never forget the first time I was pulling out the first pizza. She was having a glass of wine. I was probably smoking a cigar, and we're just talking about the events of the day. And I slice up the pizza, and we start to eat it. And we look at each other, and we go, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable." And that's when I discovered my real passion for cooking. And it was pizza. And I did it without a ladder. So it's very exciting for me to be here in the Grand Strand and embark on this year-long search for the best pizza in the Grand Strand. Now, of course, that won't be the only thing I'll be doing here. I'll be talking about all types of different restaurants. I want to interview as many chefs, local chefs and local business owners that I can. But it's this particular part of the show that I'm really super excited about, and that is finding the best pizza in the Grand Strand. You know, food is very subjective. You know, you could have, 9 people just raving about a specific restaurant, and the 10th person goes there and goes, and that's just the way it is. With pizza, even more. Once again, 9 people will say, "Oh, this is the best New York pizza I've ever had." The 10th person goes, "This isn't New York pizza." So what it boils down to is, it is my opinion, although I think I have a pretty good track record having owned and operated a wood-fired pizzeria in Los Angeles for 10 years. And it's going to be so much fun. Okay, folks, before I do the first pizza review, and there's going to be 2 of them today. I didn't do one in the first episode last week. And I want to do one a week. So at the end of the year, there'll be 52 different pizzerias to choose from here in the Grand Strand to see who ends up on top. But I wanted to first tell you about this deli that I discovered. You know, there are so many New York transplants here in the Grand Strand, and we all know how much New Yorkers love their deli. Well, this is a New York deli plus. And it's owned and operated by just this absolutely delightful woman. So let's run out there for a couple of minutes and talk to her. This is Richard Florczak, the private chef to the stars, and I am sitting in this really, really cool deli that I discovered. It's called the Little River Deli, and it's located at 2352 Highway 9 East in Longs, at the corner of Highway 9 and 57. It is a freestanding building. It is so cool. It's got plenty of parking, and I'm sitting here with the owner, and I could say chef as well, Amanda Flowers. Amanda, welcome to Talking About Food.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you.
So as a chef myself, and I was a private chef for 25 years. I've talked about this before. I've worked for 3 of the biggest A-listers in the business, I guess is my claim to fame. But I also had a restaurant.
Okay.
I had a restaurant for 9 years. One of my interests in doing interviews like this is I like to know from the owner what makes you tick. Why a restaurant? Now, if you don't mind me saying, I talked to you a little bit about this before, and you actually have a psych major.
Yes. In
college.
Yes.
And you end up being a restaurant/chef owner.
Yep.
How did that happen?
It was the coolest thing. I've always loved food. And to answer your question, I'm here because I love the thrill of a restaurant. There's nothing cooler to me than being busy and running around and working as a team and giving people something awesome that they love and they're going to come back to. I've worked here since I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And of course, I didn't think that this would be my life one day.
Right.
I went to college several times, and I had a full-time job where I just kind of worked here on the weekends. But sitting in a desk, an office,
right.
and that quiet was just not for me.
You and I have similar backgrounds. Believe it or not, I went to film school in New York for 4 years, thinking I wanted to eventually move to California and be a Academy Award-winning screenwriter.
Yep.
But looking back, the whole time that I did that, I was always cooking. Always cooking, right? So I graduated, I moved to Los Angeles, and in 6 months I realized I wanted nothing to do with that business and said, this was my calling. This is what I truly enjoyed. Now, when you say you like the busyness of the restaurant, do you love to eat?
Oh, yeah. I love food. My family's Italian.
Right.
My dad, I grew up in a restaurant my whole life. And so our family functions are always centered around food and a good meal, and food is everything to me. I feel like it brings people together. Yeah. No matter who you are or where you're from or whatever, and I think that's really cool.
I have a best friend in Los Angeles for 40 years, and he unknowingly convinced me to leave the film business and get into food full time. And it happened one day. I was tearing recipes from the Los Angeles Times, and I tore this chocolate cake recipe, and I wrote on the top of it, Manny. Manny's gonna love this. Mm-hmm. And I made it for a typical Manny. Richie, this is the best thing I have ever tasted, Richie. I love it. And I realized after he left, and I looked down at the recipe, it says his name on the top, and I thought, I know it sounds like a cliche. I'm hoping you feel this way, but I like making people happy through food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you nailed it.
And that doesn't get old, does it?
Never does.
Is it safe to say you look forward to coming in each day?
Yes. The dynamic has changed a little bit since taking over ownership. I think I told you before that I have worked here for almost 15 years before I took over.
Right.
And so obviously I have new roles now than I did before.
Right.
But it's still just as exciting, and being able to take some of my ideas and implement them is even cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this amazing thing. I thought about this many times after my restaurant was open, that I had this idea, I put it into play, and I would hear people walk by the chef station as I was working there, and say, to their group, wait till you taste this. It's just amazing. So you share that, right?
Absolutely.
What I may be catching you off guard a little bit here, and if I have, then we can move on, or just take your time with it. What are your 3 favorite dishes here at Little River Deli?
Oh.
Maybe a little easier. What's your favorite breakfast dish? If somebody comes in and they say, surprise me.
Yep. For breakfast?
Yeah.
I always give them what's called a Bronx Bomber.
And what is that?
Okay. So it's a traditional breakfast sandwich. So it could be like bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese, whatever. But we actually put potatoes. We gut the roll and stick them in the sandwich.
Oh, it's on a sandwich.
On the sandwich. Yep.
Oh, my God.
It's so good. It never gets old.
What about lunch?
We're known for the Reuben.
My favorite sandwich.
It's so good, you can't beat it. We have the best Reuben around here.
Yeah.
Personally, I like the Tuscan. It is, can I tell you about it?
Yes, please.
It's a grilled garlic sub roll with fresh mozzarella, thin sliced prosciutto, roasted peppers, and balsamic glaze.
Wow,
Yep.
Man, you're making my mouth water here. That's what I love so much about this show, is I get to talk about food. I was thinking on my drive over that, I have this passion. I'm sure you share the same thing for cooking, but I have much bigger passion for eating and talking about it. My family was similar to yours. We used to be made fun of that, we'd be finishing one meal talking about what we were going to do for the next. I noticed here, and it's near and dear to my heart, customer service. My wife is... it's what she does for a living.
Okay.
Internationally.
Wow.
So she is zeroed in on stuff, which really helped me with our restaurant in Los Angeles. But I notice you have it here too. Is there any kind of training that you do for that? I mean, it's not an easy thing to teach people how to provide good customer service.
It's not. I think the foundation is we love what we do. Like, we take a lot of people on that are similar to me. We all love to be around food and serve people, and that goes a long way. If you're not happy to be here, then it's not the job for you.
Right.
But yeah, it's we just let them know that we love it here, and our customers, they've been coming, and I know for years and years and years, we know them by name.
Right.
And they love that. I mean, I love to catch up with them and say hello, and so it's just a part of who we are. Yeah,
and let me take it to the next level. When I was walking in and out of the deli today to get my equipment to use, there's a median on the highway right out in front, and there were 2 trucks parked there. They parked with
Big
their
trucks.
blinkers on, and they came in to get lunch.
They did.
I mean, we've all heard, who knows better where the best food is than truckers, and I'll follow that logic any day. So that's something to be said.
And we'll get you out of here quickly, in and out, so you don't have to worry about waiting. So
that is something, folks, that you do not learn in culinary school. Another thing that blew me away is on the chalkboard. It says, "Call for specials." It says that on your menu too. I mean, how many businesses today will pick up the phone and tell you what is the special of the day? What is the special of the day?
Today?
Yeah.
Today we served a stuffed chicken marsala over mashed potatoes.
Oh my God.
We did a ginger lime grilled shrimp over pesto rice.
I noticed that section of the steam table is empty. Is it sold out?
It does. We sell out almost every day.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. People will often say there's this interesting connection between sort of like delis and pizza, where people are religious about it. Certainly people in the Northeast, they love their delis and they love their pizza. And often said about pizza is, if you can't get the crust right, forget it. It's the same thing with bread in a deli. Now, do you bake your bread here? Do you buy it? Do you have it delivered? How does that work?
So we do get our bread in from New Jersey. It comes in par baked, and we bake it fresh several times a day. Hold on.
Several times a day.
We are busy. You would not believe how much prep we do here.
I'll tell you something more interesting than the fact that you're busy is that customers will come in here and very possibly be having a sandwich that's bread was baked a few minutes ago.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my God, folks, you cannot get better than that. I mean, I've been here a number of times and I just absolutely love it. It's one of those kinds of places where when you come in, certainly for the first time, you start looking through the deli case and you want one of each thing. And one of the things that jumped out at me the first time was that you sell boar's head. Mm-hmm. Boar's head is without a doubt the top of the line. The prices are competitive and the portions are unbelievable. Different types of people, right? There's people like me who just love food, and you said the same thing. And then for some reason, I don't know why, you're the psych major, maybe you could figure this out. There's people that say, I forgot to eat. How does that happen?
I don't know anything about those kind of people.
How does that happen? I mean, I wake up thinking about
food,
pizza or pasta.
Absolutely.
No, the portions are big, and the value is terrific, especially in an economy like this. And the passion is here, and that's where you won me over. I love the fact that you were a psych major, because you can give somebody psychological advice while they're having their Reuben sandwich. Right? I'm glad you made the transition, and I know a lot of people that live in the area, they feel the same way about it.
Me too. I don't regret my past. I ended up exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm 100% happy with my decision. I want to do this the rest of my life.
What is your favorite dessert that you serve here?
My favorite dessert are our chocolate chip cannolis, and they're amazing. That's something that you can order individually or even on party platters. We serve them for lots of big events. Which
is a great thing to point out, is that you also cater, right?
We do.
And how long in advance and what size can you cater?
Good question. For small orders, just a day is fine. Day's notice, we can.
What's considered small?
A couple sandwich platters or a few half pans of chicken parm.
To serve how many people?
Our half trays, which is how the hot food comes, serves about 10.
10. So basically a minimum of 10 up to how many people?
We've done weddings. We've done large birthday parties. We can serve hundreds.
Hundreds.
We can handle it. So if you have an event, please call us.
So how long, if somebody want to do, let's say, a wedding for 150 people, how long in advance would you need to know?
A couple weeks. Yep.
Couple weeks. So in a couple of weeks, 150 people can experience what I have here, and trust me, you won't regret it. Folks, this place is not to be missed. I've heard a video that Amanda did for her website that people say that they pass this place all the time. Don't. If you pass this place after listening to this broadcast, then it's on you. Anyway, okay, thanks a lot, Amanda. I so appreciate you sitting down with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks, that was Amanda Flowers, Little River Deli. What a gal, man. Very impressive. As my mother would say, she's a tiny little thing. But boy, she's got some energy and she gets things done over there. And once again, that is Little River Deli, and they're in Longs at 2352 Highway 9 East. It's a good one. Pizza. How remarkable is pizza when you think about it? It's basically 3 ingredients: bread, sauce, and cheese. And you can come up with 1,000 different variations of that. There's thin crust, there's thick crust, there's Sicilian, there's Detroit style, you name it. And it's just such a remarkable thing. And those 3 ingredients often come together as this like beautifully unique dish that you can either cut with a knife and fork, or you can hold it in your hand and just devour it. God, I love pizza. So I'm going to start with my first review, but I'm going to tell you first what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to review any places I don't like. I don't think it's fair. I know what it's like to get a bad review in a restaurant. I owned a restaurant, pizzeria, for 9 years. Once I was on that side of the business, I learned a heck of a lot and how difficult customers can be. That's part of the game that I kind of knew going in. But I was the kind of person that I woke up every morning and read the Yelp reviews. And if I was lucky, I only had a handful of 1 stars. If I got a 3-star, I was worried about it at least all day. If I got a 1 star, it kept me up at night. Until I got a little bit savvy with it. Whenever I would get a 1 star, I would go to that particular review and look at their other reviews. And most of the time, they would give anybody they reviewed a 1 star. So I let that run off my back. But I also realized that sometimes restaurant owners, chefs, they have a bad night. They're doing this thing day after day after day, trying to be as consistent as possible. And guess what? Sometimes they have a bad night. Sometimes they have a bad dish, a bad pizza. And it would happen to me on occasion. I could see the way my restaurant was set up was the wood-fired pizza oven was centrally located, center of the dining room. So I could see all that was going on. And I got to the point where I could look across the restaurant at different tables, and I could tell by their body language whether things were going well or not. And I would, every once in a while, see that table, and I could read the body language and say, uh-oh, something's not right there. I was lucky. When I sold my restaurant, I had close to 650 reviews, and 600 were 5-star. But I would have an off night once in a while. So anyway, that's why I'm not going to give anybody a bad review. If I'm talking about a pizzeria, on talking about food now, it's something that I like. That's one thing. The other thing too is all the pizzas that I taste for the show will be just plain sauce and cheese. Maybe some fresh basil. That's fine. But no toppings. I don't know how anybody could review pizza, that has, 10 different toppings. What do they call those? Supreme or whatever, where they just pile all kind of junk on top of it. Doesn't make any sense to me. It's like with burgers as well. You'll hear about a great place. Somebody will tell me about a great place, and they'll take me there, and they order a burger with everything on it. I don't know how you ever taste the meat. Certainly the first time I'm not going to add anything except maybe a slice of cheese. That's the way I'm going to approach pizza. No toppings, and especially never pineapple. Now I know I'm going to get emails from this. They say, "Oh no, you've got to have pineapple does not belong on pizza." Period. Don't believe me? Let's flip the script. Does pizza belong on pineapple? Say you're having a nice fresh plate of cut pineapple. How would it be if you melted some cheese over the top of it? Or maybe ladled some tomato sauce over your freshly cut pineapple fruit plate? It doesn't work, folks, and I ain't going to do it. Other than that, I'm pretty open. Anyway, the first place I want to talk about, it's iconic. It's in Murrells Inlet. It's a neighborhood place. It's called Uncle Mikey's. I was there the other night. It's good pizza. It's good. Thin crust, nice salt. What I love about this place in particular, they know exactly the amount of sauce to put on it. It's a difficult thing. It may sound easy, but it's not. Too little and it's dry. Too much and it's too soupy. There needs to be just that right amount on the pizza. And also the right amount of cheese. A lot of people think that, just pile it on. Boy, the more cheese, the better. No, there is a perfect balance that you're looking for. You want a crispy crust. The bottom of the pizza in the pizza business is referred to as the carriage, right? The carriage should be toasted, should be golden, a little bit past golden, so that when you lift up the slice, only the tip of the slice of pizza should bend over. The rest should be firm. If you add too much cheese to that or too much sauce, it's just going to be soupy. In my opinion, that's not the way pizza should be eaten. I like Uncle Mikey's. I went there, I sat at the bar and looked about the place. It's obviously a popular neighborhood restaurant. And Uncle Mikey's, they've got everything from fried calamari up to this creamy pasta with shrimp. I mean, and everything looks good, but you got to stay focused. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me to stay focused. But my first one, I liked Uncle Mikey's. I'd go back. I would go back. While I was sitting at the bar, the owner approached me. I didn't know he was the owner at first, and very, very personable. And like I said, it was obvious to see that people were really enjoying themselves there. Like a happy place. Excellent customer service. Everybody was very friendly to me. They checked on me a number of times while I was waiting for my pizza. So, yeah, very friendly, which is a big deal to me. I've said it before that, customer service is very important to me. I was at a burger place the other day that a friend of mine had suggested that I try. Big burger fan, almost as much as pizza. I sat at the bar again. Bartender was so rude. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I thought it was like his shtick for a second. I kind of chuckled the first time, that he was a bit short with me, to say the least. But it wasn't, and the burger was mediocre, so he had no reason to be that way. You know what? I said I'm not going to talk poorly about other pizzerias. You know what? I won't name them, but they're a New York-based place. Been there twice. They're rude. I don't care. I don't care where you're from. Paying money. Love pizza. Get excited about it. New place open. I walk in and they're rude. I figure, well, they gotta work out the kinks, because it's a new place. I've always been told that some of the people that used to do restaurant reviews in Los Angeles would say they wouldn't review a place until they were open for 6 months, and there's some truth to that. But I went back after 6 months to this place, and they were still rude. So Uncle Mikey's is happy. They are located at 4378 Highway 17 Business in Murrells Inlet. I would certainly check that place out if you haven't been there already, because, like I said, it's been around for a long time. And let's get to my next one. You know what, folks, before we go there, and since we've mentioned tomato sauce a couple of times, I want to make sure that whenever I can, I can give you some advice on some of the best products to buy. I spent 25 years as a private chef. I was in and out of the grocery stores many times a day, just like you folks have to do at home. And I had to filter through a lot of poor quality products over the years, actually, so you don't have to. Tomatoes for your tomato sauce. If you're making pizza at home or even making your famous Sunday gravy or, marinara sauce, whatever. When I was working for Mel Gibson and we were in Italy for quite some time while he was doing The Passion, I knew eventually someday I was going to open up a wood-fired pizzeria. I had already built a wood-fired pizza oven at home. I just shopped around Italy for the best canned tomatoes that I possibly could find. I think I came back on the plane with about 15 different cans. And ironically, my favorite one that I thought was the highest quality you could buy right here in the U.S., and they're called Cento, Cento. I started using them to make pizzas at home and continued using them for 10 years in my restaurant. Certainly cheaper than a lot of those pretentious ones that they try to push on us, and most of the time they're not worth the money. So top quality and consistent. So there you have it. Danny's Pizzeria. Another one I tried. We tried it, my wife and I, the first visit to the Grand Strand about 4 years ago when we were looking for a place to live. And our real estate agent told us about it. We were coming from Los Angeles where, you can't find a decent slice of pizza. And we were so excited, to be looking for a home and this new great place to live. And we're on the East Coast now, so pizza's a big deal. So we've been there a number of times, and they're good. I like Danny's. Danny's is consistent. Their sauce, I like. It's not... Certain places, in my opinion, could get very, very heavy with the spices in their sauce. And the original pizza, which I know is different, Neapolitan is different from New York, but the original Neapolitan pizza doesn't even have a cooked sauce on it. It's what we call a raw sauce. It hasn't been cooked. It's still some of the same ingredients, but it's basically just ground tomatoes, garlic, and some sea salt. But they do a nice sauce, and I like the quality of cheese that they use. But I also like what is called the chew on the crust. And for people that don't understand what that is, if you bite into the crust at the end, it'll give a little bit. There's a ever so slight toughness to it, and that firm chew affects the entire pizza. Like I was saying earlier, you want to be able to lift a slice of pizza with just the tip bending over, and they do a good job. They master it over there at Danny's. Friendly place. A lot of young gals work at the counter. They're on top of things. They stay busy. I like Danny's. So, folks, before we wrap up this episode, let's do a quick recap. Joe Bonaparte, Chef Joe Bonaparte from the Horry Georgetown Technical College. He's the head of the culinary department. Just a reminder, if you are interested in going into the culinary arts, doesn't matter what age you are, this place is top of the line. I was explaining when I did the interview earlier with Joe. I've been there. It's a beautifully run place. But he also told us about El Chepo. It is a Mexican restaurant in Socastee, 4979 Socastee Boulevard. So if Joe tells me about it, I'm going. He also mentioned Seoul, but unfortunately, I looked them up and they've recently closed down. It says temporary, hopefully, because if Joe tells me about it, I'm going. Hiyashi Sushi, he also mentioned in Murrells Inlet, also 5341 US 17. We talked with Amanda Flowers at Little River Deli. I can't wait to get back there. Uncle Mikey's in Murrells Inlet. First pizza review so far on Talking About Food. I'd go back there. Danny's, I like, 11916-707. And both Uncle Mikey's and Danny's, their large pizzas are about 18 inches, and they're both about $18, so it's a decent deal. Cento tomatoes, don't forget about that one, folks. That's good quality tomatoes. All right, folks, that just about wraps up the show for this week. Hope you enjoyed. Next week, in studio, we've got Captain Inglis Glover. He's a local celebrity and fishing icon. Really cool guy. And he's going to explain to us how to properly get a fish from the hook to your plate. All the techniques, make sure it stays nice and fresh. Also, he's going to grace us with some of his fish recipes and techniques, which is something I'm always interested in, learning new recipes, new techniques, especially Southern ones that I'm not too familiar with. So that's going to be cool. Remember, if there are restaurants, food trucks, any places like that that you've been to that you like and you want me to check out and review, just let me know. You can email me at theprivatecheftothestars@gmail.com. And if you're interested in a cooking demonstration or a cooking class in the privacy of your own home by me, the Private Chef to the Stars, you can reach me at privatecheftothestars.com. So thanks for listening, folks, and always remember, you are your family's private chef.